Victory Friday, Browns fans. Welcome on into a live Cleveland Browns report. Matthew Peterson here hanging out with you guys after an all-time instant classic last night between the Browns and the Steelers. The game was played in a snow globe. It was incredible to see. It was so fun to watch. Back and forth, an all-time game and an all-time win by the Cleveland Browns. So we're going to break down everything coming out of this game for Cleveland, kind of recap what the buzz is on the street, and talk about what the big takeaways were from this Thursday night win. But if you enjoyed beating the Steelers, spam CLE for me in the chat. When you are 2-8, you don't have a ton to get up for, but there is one thing, and that's playing spoiler. And if it happens to happen against your biggest rival, yeah, works for me for sure. So, spam CLE in the chat right now if you enjoyed the Browns beating the Steelers, knocking them around in the first half, 3 sacks by Myles Garrett, 2 touchdowns from Nick Chubb, offense and defense play complementary football in the last minutes of the game. Let's go, Brownies. We got 50-plus people tuned in right off the bat. Kudos to you guys for watching right now. Hit that thumbs up button if you are just filing on in as well. We're at 11 likes. Let's get up to 25 likes before we get this show on the road. Levi Mayfield, ladies and gentlemen, getting the Super Chat started with a $5 Super Chat. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. I'll be honest, our Steelers channel is live just 2-ish studios over. They can definitely hear us. Every single super chat we get, I'm going to sing Here We Go Brownies. And every single time, I know they're going to hear it. And I know it's going to cut deep a little bit because Steelers fans did not wake up with a smile on their face like you and I did. As AFX sends in a Here We Go Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Provisional. That made me laugh, honestly. Ryan getting it started as well. I guess you guys want to know the Browns Report T? The winner of the race from the ticket giveaway, the original winner, emailed me at 5 a.m. saying, I want the tickets. So, unfortunately, the provisional was ultimately for nothing. As Ryan sends in a $2 super chat. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Frank Page sends in a $2 super chat. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Let's go. Let's go, Browns, baby. I don't really care about the draft right now. I'm just going to enjoy this win. Sports are supposed to be fun at its core. It's way more fun when you're winning than losing. And I'm going to enjoy this win. You should as well. Make a great weekend out of it. Buckeyes play tomorrow. Huge game for the first time ever against Indiana. So let's go, Brownies. Now, one thing that has been discussed across the web throughout the game last night and going into today was the Browns cannot get a dome stadium. They have to continue to play by the lake, which oddly enough, that game last night was a better pitch to Browns ownership to not move the stadium than anything Mayor Bibb in the city of Cleveland have come up with so far. So, do you want a dome stadium? I'm going to share my answer later in the show, but I don't want to influence or taint your idea. So let me know in the comment section right now, do you want a dome stadium? Again, I'm going to reserve my answer for later on in the episode, but I just want to get your opinion for me in the comment section. Do you want a dome? Give me a yes or give me a no. AFX, who's the producer and why are we live on a Friday? I love how AFX knows my schedule. Okay, if you really want to know, the producer is Reed, and we're live on a Friday because we couldn't go live on Wednesday, because I was off Wednesday because we were live on Thursday. So Wednesday was my off day this week, along with tomorrow, Saturday. And then we're live on a Friday as well because if you are a host of a team that plays on Thursday night, you have to come in on Friday because here at Chat Sports, we've got this really cool partnership with Amazon. So if you have an Alexa device or if you have a Fire Stick TV, You can say, Alexa, play the Cleveland Browns Blitz, and I'll pop up on your screen 3 times a week. 2 blitzes, 1 2-minute drill, which previews the upcoming game. So all that has to get done the day after the game, which usually is on Monday. But if you play Thursday, you got to come in on Friday to do those blitzes and 2-minute drills. So that's why we have a little bit of a schedule change.
I wonder how many people who have you on their TV right now.
Right? Did I just
awoken their Alexa? And it was like, hey, Alexa.
Right.
play the blitz.
True. Like I was talking about Nick Sirianni the other day. Okay, it did happen. If you say the Eagles head coach's last name enough, your phone will think it's saying Siri. Yeah. Okay, we got another super chat coming in from YK Braden. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. AFX Apocalypse with a $2 super chat. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. F the Schittsburg Squealers. Woof, woof. No to the dome. AFX, I hate it so much that we got flexed out of Thursday Night Football. This is referring to the Browns-Bengals Week 16 game. It got changed from Thursday night to just Sunday at 1 p.m. I don't. Let's let this one Thursday be our image of Thursday Night Football for the Browns this year. Go out on top. I don't think we need to push our luck anymore. Let's let this be as it is, and let's continue having a nice 7-0 record in the last 7 Thursday night games, and just go into next year going, we've always got that Thursday night game. It would be a little bit watered down if the Thursday night in Cincinnati went horribly wrong. And it's like, well, the Browns went 1-1 on Thursday night. No, I like a nice 1-0. So I'm not upset with the Browns-Bengals Thursday night game getting flexed out for the Broncos-Chargers. This is a mic drop. We're going to go out on top on Thursday night.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you can't top that game. Like a snow game on Thursday.
Right.
And I feel like I'd rather have my team play on Sunday just because it's more of like a
more traditional
better feeling of like,
yes.
Yeah, you're
I also enjoy the Browns being dominant on Thursday Night Football. I mean, that is like a nice little, ace up the sleeve to go, we dominate Thursday Night Football. And the more you play on Thursday night, the greater chance of dropping a Thursday night game. So let's keep it at one game a year and just always know Thursday night is our night. That's a win right there. We are going to jump into some of the news and rumors out there regarding Kevin Stefanski, his job security. We got some reports that came out just before the game. I want to react to that following the win against the Steelers. We'll talk about Jameis Winston, quarterback of the future maybe, and a whole lot more. But I always love to see where people are tuning in from. So shout out your city for me in the chat right now as we get this live show started. Let me know where you are watching from. Lewis, I just found out that you can change the view on primetime, and I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't know that. I'll have to check that out for the next Thursday night game. AFX, I just like primetime night games. I agree with that, AFX. It's a double-edged sword. There's nothing worse than being like the team that gets scheduled for a bunch of primetime games, like the Cowboys this year, for example, and moving forward, and then they stink, and now we're all stuck, and everyone hates you as a result. It's almost like it's your fault as the fan. Like, I'm not the one that created the schedule. So, Browns got one primetime game for the year, most likely, because they got flexed out of the – well, no, they'll have two. This one and then Monday night. I really doubt they stay with Sunday Night Football between the Browns and the Dolphins in a couple of weeks. So, I'm okay with not having an extra dosage of Browns primetime games when they're not a great team this year. So, let's just enjoy this win as it is. And maybe not let it be, watered down with some other primetime games that maybe not go as well as this one did. Dolphin X with a $2 super chat. Winston is undefeated versus AFC North as a starter. Is he undefeated against the AFC North in his career? No, just as the Browns quarterback, right? No, but as a starter for the Bucs and a starter for the Saints as well. Oh, I see. Okay. As a starter. Okay, I got you. I didn't see the dog part. Yeah, 2-0. We'll take it, baby. We'll take it. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Let's get into our live show. We have 26 likes right now. I want to get to 30 likes. We're 4 likes away. If you have not hit that thumbs up button, make sure to go ahead and do so. Yes, we do have a mailbag as well at the end of today's live show. So file on in right now. Get your questions in. Use hashtag Browns or Super Chat. If you Super Chat, we guarantee it gets on screen for everyone watching to see. So go ahead and ask any question you have after this win against the Steelers. Just use hashtag Browns in our live chat or Super Chat. And if you Super Chat, you cut the line, and we guarantee it gets on screen for all of our great viewers to see. We're at 28 likes. We're 2 likes away from 30. If you have not hit that thumbs up button, what are you waiting for? Come on. Michelle, so happy the Browns beat the Steelers, makes the weekend. Thursday Night Football is a bit of a gamble when it comes to your mental health. If you win on Thursday night, you are on top of the world Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you lose, it's a long wait until your next chance to get back in the victory column. Ghostface, you are the man. We're at 32 likes. Are we ready to jump into a live Cleveland Browns report? Reed says no. So everyone, hang tight. We're going to talk about Kevin Stefanski's job. Pardon? We're going to talk about Kevin Stefanski's job status. We're also going to briefly touch on Daniel Jones as a possibility. We will keep it very short because I don't think it has more than a 1% chance of happening. And then we'll run through some of my key takeaways from the win on Thursday. So, if you are ready, I am ready. Brian, Tomlin is 0-4 against Cleveland on Thursday night. Yeah, the Browns love to schedule those Thursday night or the NFL loves to schedule the Browns for those Thursday night games against the Steelers and the Bengals particularly. And the Browns have taken care of business on Thursday night against those two teams. So, with that being said, let's jump on into a live Cleveland Browns report. Happy Victory Friday, Browns fans. Welcome on into the Cleveland Browns report. Matthew Peterson here after Cleveland's 24-19 win over the Steelers. Never get tired of seeing that scoreboard right there. We have a lot of ground to cover on today's episode, so I'll try and keep things on the bit of a shorter, concise side of things so you guys can enjoy the rest of your Friday and into the weekend. I just want to briefly touch on one of the NFL news storylines out there, which is Daniel Jones being released by the Giants, and I've already seen some people online connecting dots and suggesting the Browns go get Daniel Jones now just to kind of have a head start on him if they think he might be a potential starter for them next year. I'll just say no. I would proceed with Jameis Winston. I don't see any reason to add Daniel Jones to this roster. So if you're wondering if there's even a remote chance, big thumbs down for me. I have zero interest in adding Daniel Jones. He is not a good starting NFL quarterback. I don't think the Browns are a right time for him. I'm going to veto this idea altogether. Now, with that being said, let's get on to the main course for today, which is Kevin Stefanski's job security after this win, and then some of the big takeaways coming out of Thursday night. I think we can all agree that after this win, Kevin Stefanski's job is safe. There was some chatter before the kickoff on Thursday night about maybe this being a game where if it goes south, Stefanski could get the axe. Ultimately, the Browns put together an incredible performance at home in front of not only their fans, but Jimmy Haslam especially. And I think we can all agree Stefanski's job is safe. And I think we can also start to agree it's impossible to start Deshaun Watson again. I mean, we have seen just too much evidence that Stefanski can work well with any quarterback that's not named Deshaun Watson. And Watson falling off a cliff this year is not 100% his fault when it comes to the offensive failures and shortcomings. Through the first 7 weeks of the year, the offensive line was extremely banged up. They weren't playing well. There was no run game. But at the end of the day, I'm watching Jameis Winston just deliver great passes over the middle of the field, something Watson was not able to do, and this team be a much better offense. The ball moved down the field, points go up on the board, and there's just no way you can come back from this after Jacoby Brissett played better than Watson, after Joe Flacco played better than Watson, and after now Jameis Winston playing better than Watson. For anyone to make the argument of Deshaun Watson has to start next year. Now, the argument that the Browns are going to come up with is we paid him $230 million. And ultimately, that's a little bit of a trump card that we can't get past. If Jimmy Haslam goes to front office and the coaching staff and says, listen, I didn't pay all this money for him to be a backup. So you guys have to figure out how to make him effective and resurrect his career because that's what I'm paying you to do. I don't have a real response for that other than no. But it's hard to tell a billionaire and the owner of a team no. So this is going to be quite the story to monitor during the offseason, but that's what it's for, the offseason. For now, I want to just bathe in this victory a little bit and keep the good times rolling. So if you want to keep the wins coming, hit that sub button down below. It's absolute science. If you subscribe, the Browns win. So let's get ourselves to 39,000 subscribers. Now, I've got 3 big takeaways outside of Stefanski's job being safe after this win. First big takeaway, Myles Garrett takeover. Myles Garrett put on full display in front of the country why he not only won NFL Defensive Player of the Year last year, but that was last year, but why he is the number 1 pass rusher in football. 3 sacks, a forced fumble, fighting through chips and double teams every single snap, and nothing could slow him down. And then after the game, Myles Garrett using this opportunity to do TJ Watt fair justice after Watt tried to steal the moment from Garrett before the NFL award ceremony after the 2023 season, leaking that Garrett won and Watt was salty about it. Quote, I have a lot of respect for him, but I'm number 1. That's from Edge 1 to Defensive Player of the Year. I'm the guy that runs through me. The shit fired me up. I got to be honest with you. Is it a little bit on the cocky side? Sure. Is it a little bit more NBA than NFL when guys like to run their mouth a little bit? Absolutely. But when it's our guy, I'm going to run through a brick wall for that. Because this was I'm fired up. I can't fall asleep now. I'm going to scroll Twitter all night until like 1 or 2:30 in the morning because I'm looking for more content to bathe in after seeing this performance from Garrett and after Wyatt Teller on his birthday shoving TJ Watt into a different zip code on 4th and goal as Jameis runs into the end zone. Yeah, that is football porn for Browns fans. So now Garrett sits at 2nd in the league in sacks, trailing Trey Hendrickson by 1.5. He's ahead of Dexter Lawrence and Nick Bonito and Dante Fowler, who I did not have on my bingo card as being top 5 in sacks as we approach the last third of the season. But Myles, with that 3-sack performance now, has had a 7th straight season of 10-plus sacks, and he now has 5 games with 3 or more sacks. And he's just entering the prime of his career. He's just in the prime of his career. There is a lot of great football ahead of Myles, and he is not slowing down whatsoever in the slightest. So this is ultimately, I wouldn't say, it's a little bit of a silly fight that Browns and Steelers fans have when it comes to who's better, Garrett or Watt, because they're both generational players. They are both future Hall of Famers, and they just happen to be from the exact same draft class and play in the exact same division. So they're constantly stepping over one another, when in reality, they're both very good players who play slightly different positions. Myles Garrett is a versatile defensive lineman. He lines up anywhere on the D-line. We've seen him line up over the center. We've seen him line up over both tackles. TJ Watt is an outside linebacker who strictly plays against the right tackle of opposing teams. He'll drop into coverage, something Garrett doesn't do. They're both really good players. But Myles Garrett's number 1. And how do I know that? I mean, we can go back and forth all day with different stats and talk about the double team metrics and whatnot, but just look at the eye test here for a moment. What player do opposing offensive coordinators lose sleep over and throw 2 or 3 guys at to just try and slow him down? It's 95. So if you enjoyed the Browns beating the Squealers, spam CLE for me in the chat. I want this weekend to be the best weekend for Browns fans because there hasn't been a lot of fun this year, but let's make this one last. Let's stretch it out. So spam CLE if you are still enjoying that win. That's my first key takeaway. Second key takeaway, unpopular opinion, I think you should still build a dome. Don't throw anything at your screen right now. I'm going to explain myself after what was an incredible viewing experience. It was like watching a football game in a snow globe. You kept shaking it up, and the snow kept coming down, and it was so fun to watch, and I'm not taking that away from anyone. But I don't think that one game should prevent the Browns from doing what is best for this team long term. I'll expand on that thought in just a moment, but I do have to give a quick shout out to our great friends over at Mando. Mando is a whole body deodorant safe to use anywhere on your body. Now, I walk to work most days. It's about a 30-minute walk, which in the Texas heat can cause me to work up quite a sweat. But when I use Mando, I come into the office pit stain free and not smelling like a used gym towel. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Mando is now offering new customers $5 off their starter pack at shopmando.com with promo code CHAT. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I've got a discount code to help the dog pound out. New customers can get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Let's talk about whether or not the Browns should build a dome stadium. I mean, everyone on the internet after this game and during this game was tweeting out, you can't build a dome. We love this type of football. It's AFC North football, right? You've got Sir Yacht tweeting it out. You've got Ross Tucker tweeting it out. Everyone and their mother was saying, after watching this game, it would be a crime against humanity for the Browns to build a dome and rob us of future games like this, which is a picturesque football game in November. And don't get me wrong, it was an awesome viewing experience. I'm also willing to wager that every single person that tweeted that out was not at the game. And as fun as it might be for us to watch it on our couches, might be a little bit different for boots on the ground. But I think the Browns should still proceed with building a dome stadium in Brook Park. Or if they can find a way to do it in Cleveland, awesome. But that sounds very, very, very unlikely. Why should the Browns proceed to still build a dome? Why should the Browns still proceed to build a dome stadium? How often have we seen the Browns play on primetime, Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night against a rival team in the snow? Honestly, how often? Happens like once a decade? So we're going to bypass on what's best for the team and best for the fan base when all the other games are cold, muggy weather, rainy, snowy, because once every 10 years, Mother Nature gifts us with this awesome snowfall on Thursday night with the Steelers in town. If you have this energy right now, you better keep that energy when there's no snow and it's -10 wind chill and the Browns are losing at home to the New Orleans Saints in December. How many of those games have we seen? Way more than what we saw on Thursday night. It's like 9-1. So we're going to freeze our asses off because for every 10 times the Browns play at home in November, December, January, 1 out of 10 times, you get a game like we saw on Thursday night. And the other 9, freezing your ass off, whipping winds coming off the lake. No. I'm not going to let recency bias, which this just seems like textbook, like study in college recency bias, make me forget about all of the cold, miserable games that the Browns, by the way, have not benefited from. There's no advantage to it. If there was an advantage, they would not have won 1 game in 2 years combined. There is no home field advantage for the Browns in those conditions. Their starting quarterback played his first game in weather below 40 degrees. So I am not buying that the Browns have the upper hand in those types of games. They won this time. How many other times have they lost? I am still in favor of building a dome. I understand that 1 out of every 10 years, we will be robbed of an opportunity to watch a really cool game get unfolded. But has anyone ever complained about the Vikings not having a really cool, snowy game, or the Lions? No. Because you know what happens with these projects all the time? Is initially, it sounds awful. And then we get used to it, and then we like it. Because Henry Ford has one of my favorite quotes, and it goes something like this. If I gave them what they wanted, I would have given them a faster horse. People don't realize it right now, but they want a dome. And when the dome is here, they're going to be so quick to go, oh, you're right. Just like how I was so quick to go, oh, the pitch clock in baseball is awesome. After not liking the idea initially, because I felt like it was a rule that was created to favor people who don't watch baseball, instead of those of us that do watch baseball and like the way it is. But very quickly, everyone came to their senses and went, yep, this is a good move. And the same thing would happen when this dome is built. And the Browns are playing in a nice temperature-controlled stadium when it's negative 20 degrees outside and everything is hard as a rock and there's no cool snow and everyone is freezing their asses off. Third and final key takeaway. Jerry Jeudy's awesome. The Browns really hit on this trade and this extension, which was definitely a gamble on. The last couple of weeks, Jeudy has been fantastic. This year, he's now up to 645 yards, 2 touchdowns, 45 grabs. He's been putting together some really big games for the Browns as of late. I mean, not just last week against New Orleans, but take on Thursday night, for example. He gets targeted 6 times. He catches all 6 targets for 85 yards, some clutch grabs to keep the drive alive on 4th down, especially at the end of the game. It's the first time in his career he's had 85 or more yards in back-to-back games. I think the number I saw was in the last 4 games, he is 4th in total yardage. I mean, Jerry Jeudy has blossomed into the guy the Browns gave that 3-year extension to before he ever played a snap for this team. $52.5 million, an average of $17.5 million a season. At the time, I was critical of it. It was a huge roll of the dice. You're about to give an extension to someone who hasn't played a snap for you yet? Someone who's never gone over 1,000 yards in their career? But now think about it. Kudos to Andrew Berry. It's a difficult job as a GM. You're not going to hit on every single transaction you make, every signing, every trade, every draft pick. But this one's looking like a good move by him. Because Jerry Jeudy is the 27th highest paid receiver by average annual salary. If the Browns did not extend Jerry Jeudy before the season and let him go test free agency, there's a chance they bring him back. But not at 3 years, $52 million, and not the 27th highest paid receiver. More like the 15th highest paid receiver. So, it's a roll of the dice by Barry, but it worked out. And Jeudy is proving Barry right with that move. He has been so consistent over the middle of the field, something we haven't seen from a Browns receiver with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. But Jameis is finding these guys, Jeudy and Tillman, consistently in tough, narrow pockets. And a guy that struggled early on in his career with drops, those are all behind him right now. So my key takeaways after Kevin Stefanski definitely took the fire off his seat. Myles Garrett takeover, still build a dome, and Jeudy is awesome. Before we sign off, I do want to show some love to the Brown and Orange Club, which saw some new members get added during our Week 12 watch party. Appreciate everyone for supporting the channel who watches us on the reg, but a big, big shout out to those of you that go above and beyond with your ability to super chat. And if you send in a $50 super chat during our watch parties, we add you to the club to get shout outs all year long, like Paul Anderson and Miami Mac, baby. Mac, a longtime viewer of the channel. Awesome to see you on the club. And Paul, thank you so much for your support of the channel as well. We're going to sign off, and we'll see you guys later with more Browns news and rumors. "101 people watching right now. AFX, Jerry Jeudy revenge game incoming. That's a great point, AFX. Cleveland has a little bit of a rest advantage, to say the least, over the Broncos. In that game on Monday night next week, but the Broncos kind of got shafted. I mean, they're playing a team on Monday night who previously played on Thursday night. So they have an extra day of rest than normal Thursday night teams do when they go and play again the next Sunday on 10 days. This time it's 11 days. So advantage Cleveland there. Dolphin X, and he's him. Let's go. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. With Daniel Jones being cut, any chance the Browns might follow along and get rid of Watson? Winston looks like a solid bridge QB at the very least. Dolphin, fair question. The short answer is no. By cutting Daniel Jones, the Giants took on, I think the number is $22 million in dead cap hit. It's money devoted to your salary cap space that's on a player who's not on your roster. That's what the dead money means. If the Browns were to cut Deshaun Watson just like the Giants did, instead of a $22 million dead cap hit for Cleveland, it's about $170 million. It's about a $150 million difference. Kudos to Reed for pulling this up. It's impossible. The only way, you just can't. The salary cap, guys, is $275 million. Like, you can't. The only way I could ever see this happening is if Deshaun Watson knows I'm never starting in Cleveland again. And I'm going to be kind of a hostage on this roster because they won't release me because of my contract. So if I ever want to play elsewhere, I have to agree to rip up my contract so I can just get released and go have a chance to play elsewhere. And I don't think he's going to rip up his contract.
And I don't think, like Daniel Jones, I don't think he's going to get a starting position anywhere in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know who would be in the market for Watson right now. Just the underwhelming play and the baggage that comes with him. But good question, though, Dolphin X. Appreciate your support. He's him, my favorite hater. Oh, snap. He's him. Pete is mid, but this channel is the bomb.
We'll take it.
We'll take it indeed. I'm a little curious how I can be mid, but the channel's good. I feel like the two have to be pretty close. But we'll take it indeed. I'm not going to complain. Appreciate your support. He's him, even if it comes in a very unique way. Ben Broski, not a question. I just want to say I appreciate you and read every week. Love y'all and the Browns. Ben, didn't know I was going to cry. Appreciate you more than you realize because the best part of my job is when I get to be live with the same cast and crew in the chat every single week. And familiar names and faces like yourself, Ben, make it 100 times better. So thank you, Ben. Go Brownies. Looking forward to seeing you for the rest of the season. Him is back. Oh, we owe a little bit of a, here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Learn tolerance plus watch American History X. I don't know why I agree to let him just get on screen and not just like get space in my head, but just bully me, I feel like. I kind of feel like I get bullied by one of my viewers. It is what it is. I love freedom of speech, which is kind of ironic because you're saying I'm intolerant. But I love the First Amendment. So make that make sense. Okay, we have 2 more segments to get to, and one of them being a mailbag. So use hashtag Browns or Super Chat, and if you Super Chat a question, we'll throw it on screen, just like we saw coming from Dolphin. And if you cannot Super Chat, not an issue whatsoever. Just use hashtag Browns. I do have a question for He's Him. If He's Him saw me in an airport, right? Like seeing a teacher outside of school, would He's Him come up to me and say, hey, I watched the show, I'm He's Him, and have a laugh? Or would He's Him like throw a glass of water in my face? I feel like it's going to be one or the other. You know what I mean? I've been stopped once before in an airport. And I'm not saying this as like a sick brag, but I was just waiting for like group 5 to be called, and someone walked up and they're like, Browns report? Chat Sports? I was like, yeah. So it was a cool experience. But no water in the face. I don't know which one He's Him would do. I really don't. It's a little bit different in person, though. So we, like I said, have a mailbag in a little bit. So use hashtag Browns like Dallas and Time Warrior, Ghostface, AFX. AFX, could you just put what you put in there as a question? Because I think a lot of people are having the same question about Daniel Jones. So I wouldn't mind Jones as a backup. Use hashtag Browns AFX, please, and just toss that kind of in a question form. He's Him. You're not in my head as much, because if you were in my head as much as you think you're in my head, then I would have watched your comedian earlier and American History X earlier. You're a cheap thrill and in GOP. We're talking like Grand Ole Party GOP? Or is there a different acronym or set of initials that I'm missing here? Okay, let's get into our second segment, though. We're getting off the rails. We're going to discuss a little bit about Kevin Stefanski and his job security in more detail than we did in our previous segment, because I really want to deep dive into how Stefanski's job is not just safe, but it really makes it tough to envision Deshaun Watson coming back. So, without further ado, let's jump into our second segment on today's show. After beating the Steelers on Thursday night, I think we can all confidently say Kevin Stefanski's job is safe. There was some chatter going into Thursday night that a loss at home against the Steelers, and especially if it was like a blowout loss, might be just a tipping point for Jimmy Haslam after a lack of effort, it looked like, against the Saints and against the Chargers, where he felt like Stefanski isn't calling plays anymore, and he doesn't really seem to have a good control of this locker room. We need to really blow this thing up before it goes from worse to even worse. But Adam Schefter, before the game, essentially unequivocally saying that Kevin Stefanski is not on the hot seat, ending it with, quote, not happening. So he didn't even leave the door open for, well, maybe everything insiders are hearing, Stefanski was not really on the hot seat going into the game, which we talked about it on the channel, and I never thought Stefanski had a real good chance of getting fired midseason unless things really took a turn for the worse when it comes to effort from these players and the score itself. But suffice to say, Stefanski's job is safe, and I think after watching the way he coached that game in those conditions against an 8-2 Steelers team, he deserves this job despite the poor start and the poor record this year, because I think it's fair at this point to point the finger to one person, and that is Deshaun Watson. And I think it's probably impossible to start Watson again in 2025. Now, I say the word impossible. The only possibility is if a certain billionaire who's from Tennessee and owns a team in Cleveland says, I did not pay this guy $230 million to be a backup. It's on this coaching staff to figure it out. That's the only path I see for Watson starting again. But I think if Stefanski had total control and just got to pick whatever starter he felt could run this team best, it would be Jameis Winston over Deshaun Watson. Because look at this now. We've had 3 notable backups outperform Deshaun Watson. Jacoby Brissett did not even have a winning record, and the fan base loved him. Joe Flacco, off the couch, exceeded Watson, but it wasn't as glaringly obvious last year because Watson was a better version of himself in 2023 than 2024, and also Watson had a winning record in 2023. So people weren't rushing to run Watson out of town last year. But let's go back to those stats for a moment here, because now let's take a peek at what Jameis has done through 4 starts. And by the way, when it comes to yards per game, like I remove the games where Jameis came in just to do a quarterback sneak. That's not really a fair, attribute to his stats of yards per game. But look at just basic football here. I mean, there's so many analytics out there that people love to point at. And let's be honest, between you and me, most of us don't know what the hell any of it means. EPA, YEPA, God knows what, DVOA. But what I can tell you is the ball moves down the field more with all 3 of Watson's backups than Watson himself. And Deshaun Watson at this point is clearly the outlier. The first 7 weeks of the year, I was pretty adamant, I think it's a good word to describe, that replacing Watson would not be a major change to this offense because the offensive line was so bad. And the offensive line was bad. And there was no running game. They got Nick Chubb back, but the running game still isn't all that great. But the offensive line's gotten healthy. It's gotten better too. But there's no doubt in my mind that the biggest chunk of the pie now is Deshaun Watson was the problem earlier this year. And I'm mad enough to admit, like, I didn't feel that way earlier in the season because of all the pre-snap penalties and the drops. And somehow all that stuff has just kind of flooded away. And now it's becoming more and more front center stage to us that this offense just was not running as efficiently under Watson as it is under all 3 of his backups, Brissett, Flacco, and Jameis. So I don't see a way how the Browns can possibly bring back Deshaun Watson when all 3 of his backups were immensely more popular and better. I mean, strike 1, I wouldn't say it was a strike to let Brissett leave, but people like Jacoby Brissett. It was definitely a strike to let Joe Flacco leave. But you can't not fool this fan base, but pull the rug out beneath them for a 3rd time when the backup has outshined the starter, and he is just a more popular, lovable quarterback. And the quarterback position is more than just a guy who throws the football. It's the face of the franchise. It's the number 1 jersey seller. I don't see how the Browns can go back to Watson unless, the whole Jimmy Haslam, I paid him all this money, and I'm not going to let that guy sit on the bench thing pops up, which it's got more than a 1% chance of happening. It's actually got a decent chance of happening. So my prediction, by the way, for the future for the Browns at quarterback, on the roster, Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston, and a rookie. And I don't believe that rookie is a 1st or 2nd round draft pick. I think it's somewhere between round 3 and round 4. Screen record this and then bring it back to me in April, and we'll see how well or poorly it ages. But who do you think should be the starter to open up 2025? Jameis Winston or Deshaun Watson? I know right now vibes are high for Jameis because of just the gutsy performance of a guy who's from Alabama, went to Florida State, went to the Bucs, went to the Saints, first time playing in the snow, and he looked like he was from Calgary out there and led this team to a victory at home against an 8-2 Steelers team. So right now, Winston's stock could not be higher. But we can't let our emotions dictate what the Browns are going to do in March. That's a long ways from now, and there's a lot of football left. But if Winston keeps playing at the level he's playing right now, it would be criminal to not bring him back to be the starter. So next up on the show, I do want to talk about which rookie the Browns could target in the NFL draft because it's becoming more and more clear and obvious that this team cannot just run it back with Deshaun Watson once he gets healthy after a 3rd straight season of the backup in the offense playing better than Watson with the starters. But first, I do want to show some love to our friends over at Mando. Mando is a whole body deodorant safe to use anywhere on your body. I walk to work most days, and it's about a 30-minute walk, and in the Texas heat, that can cause me to work up quite a sweat. But when I use Mando, I come into the office pit stain free and not smelling like a used gym towel. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Mando is offering new customers $5 off their starter pack at shopmando.com with promo code CHAT. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I've got a discount code to help you guys get hooked up on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. So let's discuss what quarterbacks the Browns could be targeting in the upcoming NFL draft, because Andrew Berry's press conference from earlier this month did not sound like a GM who is completely in bed with bringing Watson back to be the unquestioned starter. I'll say it. Ideally, the Browns avoid a quarterback in round one. One, I'm not crazy about this quarterback class. There are two round one guys, in my opinion. That's Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. I don't have a first-round grade on any other one of those guys out there. And even Ward and Sanders, while I don't dislike them, and Shedeur is a ton of fun to watch, he's got a rocket arm, he's able to extend plays, and Cam Ward's got the best arm in the draft class. I think it says a lot when the NFL draft gurus and experts out there can be somewhat reluctant to put them 1 overall, 2 overall, when there are some really desperate QB-needy teams out there. So, personally, if I were pulling the strings, I would go best player available in round 1. And then, maybe in round 3, with one of your 2 third-round picks, how about Drew Aller from Penn State? I feel like he could be a good fit with Kevin Stefanski. I mean, take Brissett, Flacco, and Winston, for example. All quarterbacks do a great job of working under center, working play action, working over the middle of the field. And this seems like something that the Ohio native could be a good fit in Cleveland. And you've got 2 third-round picks. So if it doesn't work out, you didn't just bypass round 3 altogether. You've got some extra money. Why not put it on red, right? Why not put it on black 31? And if it hits, awesome. If not, it's okay. You didn't suffer a major setback in the draft. If you go with the quarterback in round 1 and it misses, you suffered a major setback in the draft. And I don't think the Browns should look at this quarterback class as worthy of a first-round pick, given their situation and just given the overall quarterback class altogether. So ideally, I would not pursue a quarterback in round 1. I would go best player available, which we'll talk about more in just a second here. But if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, I've got a couple of reasons for you to do so. We round up the latest news and rumors for you guys. We're talking draft content when that season comes around, free agency in the offseason, weekly watch parties, and we're so close to reaching our big goal of 40,000 subscribers. So make sure you go ahead and click that sub button down below. Now, speaking of best player available, ESPN's Matt Miller recently put out a new full first-round mock draft, and for the Cleveland Browns, he had them selecting Travis Hunter, the wide receiver corner. Now, this was before Thursday night, so the Browns had the number 2 overall pick. Now they moved all the way up to the number 7 overall pick. So it's going to be fluid. Don't get attached to the pick assignment right now. It's going to change week to week. But let's just talk about maybe the possibility of what if the Browns just want to go get a best player and focus on the quarterback maybe the next year and go get a bridge quarterback like bringing back Jameis Winston. Travis Hunter, I don't think needs much of an introduction. If you watch even a fraction of college football, you know how incredible he is. He's a two-way player who is Colorado's best receiver and best corner all at once. I mean, look at his receiving numbers this year. 911 yards, 9 touchdowns, 74 grabs. And that's just his offensive numbers. How about his defensive numbers? 30 tackles, 5 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. And the 30 tackles, I think, really speaks loudly because it's not a very big number. And you know why? Because no one throws his way. And when they do, you look at the pass breakups and the interceptions as a result. So I'm a big proponent for the Browns going best player available. While this win was fun on Thursday night, I don't think we look at that win and forget about the previous 8 losses. And this Browns roster still has a lot of work to get done, and it needs some youthful injection on it. It's been run primarily by veterans as of late and not a whole lot of draft contributions. Go get a guy who can play all over the field for you, like Travis Hunter, if he's available when you're on the clock. We'll see how the draft order shakes out. He may get picked 5-6 spots before Cleveland. But I would not reach on a quarterback just for the sake of taking a quarterback if you got a Travis Hunter, an offensive lineman, an edge rusher, higher up on your big board than a quarterback. So what position should the Browns target first? Let me know in the comment section below. Their biggest need in a weird way is quarterback, but I also don't think they should use a first-round pick on a quarterback. I wouldn't mind seeing them go get an edge rusher, pairing Myles Garrett with someone because they are once again likely searching for a new pass rusher opposite of 95. Or a wide receiver, maybe Travis Hunter, or a corner, or offensive lineman. Let me know in the comment section below. Before we get on out of here, I do want to say thank you to everyone who hangs out with us during our watch parties. It is awesome to see the same names and faces every single week. So if you are a frequent flyer for our Browns watch parties, big shout out to you guys for going above and beyond to always hang out and watch game day with us. If you have not joined a Cleveland Browns watch party before, I really, really recommend you do so. Put the game on your TV. You can put us on your phone or your tablet, and it's an awesome viewing experience and a great way to take in a Browns football game. I am thirsty. Well, I definitely lost a certain percentage of my voice last night. I had 2 cups of tea before I went to bed, and then 1 cup of tea this morning. So, been working on repairing the voice. What position should the Browns target first in the draft? Let me know in the comment section right now. We do have our mailbag coming up next, so don't be a stranger. Get your questions in the chat right now. Hashtag Browns or Super Chat. If you Super Chat with a question, we'll skip the line for you and put you all the way to the front.
What about a little Abdul Carter action?
I don't hate that at all. Like, I love the idea of kind of being a little bit like when the Cowboys got Micah Parsons. Remember, that was when Dak broke his ankle.
Yeah.
And they finished with 6 wins, I think. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, we're not usually picking this early in the draft. So let's just go get the best player there, even if it's not at the biggest need for us at this moment.
Right.
For the Browns, they hopefully won't be picking in the top 10 and again anytime soon. So let's just go get a freak. Like, let's go get a stud, an Abdul Carter. And even if at the moment it doesn't feel like a big position need for us, 5, 6, 7 years down the road when that guy's a perennial Pro Bowler, we'll thank ourselves.
It's crazy with Penn State. The last 3 guys who have worn number 11, absolute freaks of nature.
Parsons.
Drop Robinson.
Okay.
And then
Carter.
now Abdul Carter.
Yeah. It's a good number.
It's now a famous number.
Tim Green suggests offensive tackle. There's really 2 notable tackles. Will Campbell out of LSU and Kelvin Banks out of Texas. When the combine gets here and teams can get their measurements in, some people might have Campbell as a guard because he doesn't have those super long arms that can, disrupt a pass rusher, greet a pass rusher. He's been a 3-year starter at left tackle for LSU, starts a true freshman. That's tough to do in the SEC. So I think Campbell is probably up for the challenge of being a tackle in the NFL. But I like the idea of going offensive line as well. They have not had an offensive lineman that they drafted outside of like DeJuan Jones. Even that one's kind of a stretch. Play well for them consistently. Jed Wills, not a good pick. DeJuan Jones is better than Wills given the value of where you got him. Batonio, that was a decade ago. Posick free agency. Teller was a trade. Conklin free agency. They got to find some homegrown, young, cheap talent on the offensive line. So, with that being said, let's get into our mailbag. Use hashtag Browns or Super Chat if you have a question at all following this Thursday night win against the Steelers. Super Chats skip the line, so we guarantee everyone watching will see it. Nathan's doing his part right now. That guy's carrying the squad. It's 100 degrees in this room. Yeah, and then from there I want to go to AFX's. No, his question. He did a hashtag Browns. So, Jones. Yeah. Okay, we ready to rock and roll? Okay. AFX, Ashton Genty is a luxury. The Browns are not allowed to indulge in that, right? They have to get their books in order. When you are cutting costs, you don't go out and buy something from Brookstone. You don't get the opportunity to dine out on weeknights. You have to cook at home. The Browns have to cook at home a couple of nights. Ashton Genty are for teams that have that luxury of, we got a really good roster, why not take a running back?
The classic, you're driving home from practice.
Yeah.
And you look to your right, you see those golden arches.
Uh-huh.
And you go, Mom, can we stop?
Uh-huh.
Nope. We got food at home.
We got food at home. So, let's jump into a live Cleveland Browns report mailbag. Mailbag time here on the Cleveland Browns Report. I'm answering questions from our live show, which was on Friday after the win on Thursday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 24-19. I don't think anyone gets tired of hearing those numbers. So, our first one coming in via Super Chat from Dolphin. With Daniel Jones being cut, any chance the Browns might follow along and get rid of Deshaun Watson? Jameis Winston looks like a solid bridge QB at the very least. Dolphin, the major difference between Daniel Jones and Deshaun Watson is about give or take $150 million. When the Giants cut Daniel Jones, they took on a $20 to $22 million dead cap hit. If the Browns release Deshaun Watson, it's $118 million in 2025 and $53 in 2026. You can manage 53, but you can't manage 118. So Deshaun Watson is going to be on this team's roster for at least one more season, unless he agrees to rip up his contract because the Browns tell him, we are benching you, and if you want to go play anywhere else, we can't release you under your current contract. So forfeit all those guarantees, and we will free you. But even then, I don't know if that's actually possible. I'm not going to pretend to be like an absolute contract and cap wizard or a lawyer. But that to me seems like the only way the Browns could move on or release Deshaun Watson. AFX, speaking of Daniel Jones, would you mind Daniel Jones as a backup? I wouldn't. I do not think the Browns should go out and sign Daniel Jones. I think it does a couple of things. One, it's a little bit of mixed signaling to Jameis Winston in the locker room, right? You've got a quarterback who is thriving in his backup role as the starter now, and the first thing you do is you bring someone in who's clearly a play for the future as like a head start. We could bring Jones in now, see if he's any good, and then we have a advantage over everyone when free agency gets here because we signed him for cheap for the rest of this year. I don't think that's the move if you've got Jameis Winston rocking and rolling. So I'm going to say no to this idea. Plus, Daniel Jones sucks. So you're going to have a tough time getting me to sign up for what I know is not going to age well. YK Braden, one last thing about Daniel Jones. I'll just say this. He is definitely going to get signed by a contending team that feels like he could be a long-term backup for them. So maybe like the Rams. They did that with Baker, remember? Braden, is Jamari Thrash going to take over Cedric Tillman, wide receiver 3, for the rest of the year because of Cedric's concussion? We'll have to wait and see what Tillman's injury, diagnosis is in the coming days. I'm filming this on Friday right now, so I'm sure as we get into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, we'll get more updates from Stefanski. But if Tillman's out, then yeah, Jamari Thrash would be the next guy up. Kadarius Toney was not elevated for Thursday night, so Thrash has the lead on him for the depth chart battle. But I'm confident that Tillman shouldn't miss too much time. I had a frog in my throat. Next question coming in from Dallas. Would you rather draft Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks? I can't.
Peek behind the curtain.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I started to water up as I was reading that question. All right. Let's start all over again here. Dallas, would you rather draft Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks? Also, what do you think about Curtis Rourke? Will Campbell, multi-year starter at left tackle for LSU, doesn't have maybe the ideal measurables that teams look for in NFL tackle, so some teams think he could be a guard. Kelvin Banks is more of a measurement standout when it comes to an NFL prototypical tackle, but I like Will Campbell a little bit more. So I would prefer to go with Will Campbell. And what do I think about Indiana's quarterback? I like him enough for round 4. That's probably where I stand on him. Just Chill 7. What is this infatuation with Daniel Jones? He was benched, and he has never been good. I can only think of one reason why people would want him. Is your one reason because he was a first-round draft pick? Because that's usually what happens to first-round picks. They get the benefit of the doubt. They get a second, sometimes a third, sometimes a fourth chance. But I agree with you. I think Daniel Jones' infatuation right now is he's kind of earned a lot of sympathy points with the way the Giants handled it. They benched him. And then the locker room was like, why'd you bench him? He's playing well, or he's not. He's better than our other 2 quarterbacks. And then why'd you go right to the third-string quarterback, bypass Drew Lock? So the locker room was not happy with how that went down in New York. And then they had Daniel Jones running scout team safety. It became a charade. It became a joke. So the Giants released him. I think everyone's like, wow, that wasn't maybe the greatest way to handle all of that happening. So I think that kind of got him some media brownie points, and people kind of feel bad for him as a result and go, well, you're a first-round pick. You want a playoff game. But I agree. I'm not interested in Daniel Jones being my team's starting quarterback. What I am interested in, though, is Mando. It's the best whole-body deodorant that is safe to use anywhere on your body. I walk to work most days, and it's about a 30-minute walk, which in the Texas heat can cause me to work up quite a sweat. But when I use Mando, I come into the office pit stain free and not smelling like a used gym towel. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO is being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Mando is offering new customers $5 off their starter pack at shopmando.com with promo code CHAT. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I've got a discount code to help you guys get hooked up on my favorite whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Next question from David Everett. I would go get someone on defense. David talking about who the Browns should target in the draft. The win on Thursday night pushed the Browns from having the 2nd overall pick to the 7th overall pick, which I'm okay with. I know right now, or I know maybe in the future we could look back and go, oh, tank, but tanking never works as well as you think it does. If it did, the Browns and the Jags would not consistently be picking top 5 in the draft for the better half of the last decade and plus. So when it comes to who they should target in the draft, long ways to go. I don't think they should go quarterback in round 1. I don't think this quarterback class is all that great. I don't think they should reach on a quarterback. And I'm guessing Shedeur Sanders is going to go top 5, and Cam Ward will also probably go top 5. And there's no other quarterback I like at all whatsoever for round number 1. So I would go get the best player available. And Abdul Carter. Imagine if you get him and Myles Garrett opposite of one another. Finally have some long-term Batman and Robin duo after kind of cycling through different eras of like Olivier Vernon, Jadeveon Clowney, Zadarius Smith. How about you go get a bona fide superstar like Abdul Carter? Excellent gamer. Draft Travis Hunter round 1. Round 2, Trayvon Henderson. Round 3, Jalen Royals. James Pierce. Round 6, the Ole Miss kicker. All right, let's go bit by bit here. You want to go Travis Hunter. You don't twist my arm. I don't think he'll be there when the Browns are picking. If the Browns win one more game and finish the year with 4 wins, they are likely not picking in the top 5, and I'm guessing Travis Hunter goes top 5. But you never know. Round 2, Trayvon Henderson. I like the idea of going running back in round 2. It's a very good running back class. Bias not aside here. My interest you in Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. He's got 21 touchdowns this year. I think Browns fans would be a big fan of his playing style. Round 3, Jalen Royals. This is the Utah State wide receiver. I'm all aboard this. I don't think him or James Pierce falls to round 3, though. James Pierce, and this is when mock draft websites are broken. James Pierce, you can write it down right now, and it's not going to age poorly, will be a first-round draft pick. He is too bendy and athletically gifted as an edge rusher to fall outside of round 1. 100% James Pierce goes round 1. As for the Ole Miss kicker, I am out on drafting kickers. I was a big fan of investing kickers because they are so important and they get disregarded. But when you draft a kicker, they become a head case from the moment they get drafted because of all the pressure of being a draft pick. Excellent gamer. Appreciate your question, though. Joshua Miller, have we seen enough of left tackle Dawand Jones to anoint him the starter next year? Great question, Josh. I think he goes into training camp as the starter. I do. They may add a left tackle, and if it happens to be in round 1, then that guy's going to be second on the depth chart, but maybe expected to rise quickly. And maybe they kind of bring Jones back to being a swing tackle and then save him to replace Jack Conklin after he leaves, maybe after 2025. But as long as the Browns don't go left tackle in round 1, I think Dawand Jones is going to be viewed as this team's starting left tackle. Josh, appreciate your question. Good one, too. Dallas, what are your early offseason moves that have to be done by the Browns? Dallas, really good question. Early offseason moves, I'm probably going to start by cleaning house a little bit. I recently watched the We Crashed series on Apple TV. It's really good. And I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a point when the investment bankers are like, what is going on here? We need to clean out what you guys are investing in here. And the Browns need to do that themselves, right? They kind of got to get rid of some older players with big contracts. So there's a chance that Petonio or Teller gets the boot, but both guys are playing well right now, so I'm not really a huge advocate for moving on from either one at this moment, but we'll see how the rest of the season ages. Maybe you move on from an Okoronkwo, right? Kind of shed some money right there. You get Alex Wright back. Isaiah McGuire is playing well, and Okoronkwo really hasn't lived up to the billing for what you gave him in free agency. So, Dallas, the first early offseason moves I'm making is kind of getting my books in order, moving on from some of the older, expensive veteran players, trying maybe unload Greg Newsome. He's got $13 million guaranteed in cap hit next season. You could trade him away, get a pick, maybe get half of that money off your books. I'm all for that. But right now I want to see the Browns try and manage the salary cap because I know they love to not just kick the can down the road, but push off contracts because the salary cap goes up in the future and the percentage cap hit goes down, but I still feel like they need to go on the younger side after this season. Exhibit end of the season record prediction. Good question. They are currently 3-8. I'm going to say the Browns win 2 more games. I'll say they finish 5-12. They win 1 more divisional game, whether it's in Baltimore, maybe the Ravens don't have anything to play for potentially at the end of the year, or in Cincinnati, or in Pittsburgh. But I like 1 more divisional game for Cleveland, and then maybe the Dolphins. Maybe they catch the Broncos sleeping on Monday night, but 5 wins is what I'll go with. So we'll end the video with this question for everyone as well. Predict the Browns record sitting at 3-8 right now, coming off the high of that Thursday night win over the Squealers. I know you're looking for me to say 9-8. Not going to go there. I'm going to go 5 wins for the Browns to close out the year. Yes, sir. All right. Josh, what do you want to see on Hard Knocks AFC North Edition? Ooh, Josh. I would like to see. Well, I'm a little curious what we're going to see because I didn't watch the. Last year was the Dolphins, and the year before that was the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals, I think, were like an Amazon thing. But I'd like to see a little bit of the locker room reaction and feeling towards Deshaun Watson. Because it really felt like that locker room was still 100% rallying around Watson. So I kind of want to know how much of truth is there to that, because there were some people that were really questioning maybe the preparation Watson was putting in every single week. So I kind of want to see that side of things as well. And then also, Kevin Stefanski as a coach has always been a little bit of an enigma. He doesn't talk a whole lot to the media. He doesn't give us great sound bites. He's no Dan Campbell. How does he work the locker room? What's his leadership style? We don't really get a ton of glimpses into that. We see a couple of clips from locker rooms after a win, but I don't really see a whole lot from Monday to Saturday. So that's actually what I'm shooting for the most.
I totally agree. I would love, before anything else, I would love to see what the raw reactions are of like just Deshaun Watson just being there and like the responses of fans towards him and like how the players are like react to it because they can't fake it anymore.
Yeah.
If they do show it. I also want to see the Bengals being broke. Mm-hmm. Like how can you be an NFL team that has to sell your TVs?
True. That's a good one. I kind of forgot about the other 3 teams in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. I was only focused on the Browns. Okay. That's going to do it for us on our live show today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in following the Thursday night win. Hope you guys enjoyed that game as much as I did. And I'll see you guys throughout the weekend with more news and rumors videos.